I was looking everywhere for answers, and I could not find one single video that answered the questions that I had about being a new special needs parent. So I'm going to try to answer that question for you today. Hi, my name is Heather Sweetman. And if you are new around here, I am a mama of 4. My youngest has special needs, quadriplegic spastic cerebral palsy. And I'm here on YouTube to make the videos that I was looking for when I was starting out on our special needs journey. And I make videos while driving around in my car, waiting, doing errands while my daughter is at therapy. And so here we are. I'm so glad you're here, whether you have been here before or you are brand new. Thanks for being here. Just really appreciate it. So anyway, yeah. So when we're like 1 to 2 years into our special needs journey, when it had become obvious that this was going to be a long-term thing. This was not a short-term thing, because we didn't get our diagnosis of CP official diagnosis until she was about not quite 1.5, but almost. We were given a verbal diagnosis by a doctor who had been treating kids with CP for decades, but she said, you're going to have an MRI to, oh my gosh. By the way, my videos are unedited, so you get what you get, people. And I apologize for the light. We just use what we have in the car. So, get the confirmation, right? So, when we first started out, it was like, okay, this kid is not meeting her milestones. She's the baby of 4. So I'd already had other kids. I knew like every child is kind of on their own developmental time frame, but there are bigger markers that you look for. And she was not babbling, she wasn't tripoding by like 3 months and then 6 months. And that's when the doctor said, let's get her checked out. So in the beginning, you're just like throwing all of your energy to doing whatever it takes to get your child the help that they need, and doing all the things that the therapists are suggesting. But around years 2.5 to 3, when it was becoming more apparent that this was going to be a major long-term challenge. Like, one of the things that the therapists and doctors had said to us is if she can independently sit by the time she's 2, she should be okay. Like, that's kind of like, not obviously, doctors say all kind of things, right? We had a friend who was told their child was born with a club foot. They were told that their child would never run, and the kid walked early, ran, jumped, like was so physical so early. And so obviously doctors probably most likely have to give us the worst case scenario. So I took it a little bit with a grain of salt, and obviously nothing is outside of God's healing power. He can do anything, and people are overcome all types of physical and mental challenges all the time in a time frame that doctors have said this is not possible. So many stories. But you also have to take it seriously. And so she wasn't sitting up independently. She could sit if we got her situated, but she couldn't push herself up and sit on her own, which is what doctors were saying that she needed to do. So I think it was around 2.5 that I just felt like my world was falling apart, and none of my hard work was making a difference physically for Finley to be able to be more independent. And because in her mind she is like totally Miss Independence and wants to do everything on her own, but her body just does not want to cooperate. So I began to search on YouTube for other people who I just felt heavy all the time. I felt sad all the time. I was like, what is going on? And I couldn't find anyone who was talking about this kind of stuff. There was a ton of information about like a day in the life, or different therapy recommendations, like more practical stuff, which is great. We need all the practical stuff. But a friend gave me a book, which I highly recommend. It has nothing to do with special needs, but it is called Every Bitter Thing is Sweet, and by Sarah Haggerty, I'm not sure how you say her name. Every Bitter Thing is Sweet. Go buy it right now. It's so good. And essentially it is her story of struggling with infertility. And I just remember I would, at night, Finley slept horribly, and oftentimes late at night I would get in the bathtub just to try to relax my body, because I was so sleep deprived and didn't feel like I could relax. And I would read this book and just cry. And essentially the book really deals with the subject of grief, and how there's obvious times to grieve when someone has passed away. There is a terminal diagnosis, those types of things. Oh, Lord have mercy. Everything's okay, guys, don't worry. But there's this other type of grief that is when things aren't going to change. Like there's not an ending to something. It's like suffering from infertility, when you so desperately want a child, and it's like you're trying and trying and trying and nothing is working. I mean, that is such heartache. And I just really related to it, because just felt like I was trying and trying and trying and doing all of the therapies and going to all of the appointments and doing all the at-home exercises, and my sweet baby girl was just struggling so much. And I don't know, there was like a settling in my spirit of like, this is not going to change. Like, this is, unless God moves, which we were praying for healing. We still are praying and believing God for healing. We've had so many people, actually a mom that I have never talked to at Finley's therapy clinic, stopped me one day and said, I had a dream that I saw your daughter walking and talking. And we were like, okay, friends have had dreams like that. Now almost complete strangers are having dreams like that. Like, so we're continuing to press into those prayers. And that's a tricky spot, right? It's like when you are a believer and believe that God heals still today, and you've witnessed healing, and praying and contending for something that God will do. It's not if he will do it, it's when he will do it, because we know that Finley will be running and talking and dancing and leaping in heaven. And so it's not if he will heal her, it is when. But because people are having dreams, we have continued to pray, and with lots of questioning, like, okay, God, we've been praying for 11 years. Are you saying no? It doesn't seem like you are, because people keep having dreams. So sorry, I got slightly sidetracked there. But feeling like I was pouring myself into something that wasn't seeing any change, really running myself ragged, and coming to terms with, this is for life. This is obvious, and CP is for life, but many people with CP will make great leaps. And for whatever reason, Finley just hasn't, even though she has been, had some phenomenal therapists and involved teachers, obviously involved parents. So anyway, this book, really kind of just spoke into the long-term suffering, the long-term grieving that it's not often talked about. And there's joy in it as well, which can kind of feel confusing. I had a friend say to me one time, this was, I think, around year 2 or 3, she just said, Heather, you are not going to betray the child you adore by grieving the child you thought you were going to have. And that still brings me to tears. I mean, it's so validating. I mean, I felt so seen by those words, because that was the struggle inside of me. I was like, I adore this child, but I'm so sad over her as well. And the friend who spoke that, I mean, I just thought, oh my gracious, like, that's it. It's like there's this inner struggle of, I absolutely adore this kiddo, and also I feel so sad over their circumstances. And it's because, I did not expect to have a child with special needs. I'd had 3 other very healthy babies. There was some concern over Finley in the womb. She had a weird ultrasound around 20 that she had a marker for some type of special need, but then that cleared around week 30. The doctor was really positive about it, and she was a C-section baby. Everything was really normal. And then I knew something was off around 4 months, 3 months, 4 months. And just because we had to have 3 other kids. So anyway, so I started searching on YouTube, couldn't find anything, found that book. Thankfully, I was so grateful to the friend who had passed me that book along, and if I remember, I will try and link that book below. I tend to forget those things, but Every Bitter Thing is Sweet. It is, you do not have had, like, if you have struggled with infertility or if you have not, it is a phenomenal book in just the verbalizing the long-term effects and how we need to grieve of long-term suffering. And I think even in the short term, like, she actually talks a lot about losing her father and just what a rock he was in her life. And I think as a culture we need to learn how to grieve well. and then we have to be careful, because I found, like, I think grief can turn into victimhood if we're not careful. I know it did that for me. That's probably another video, because that was several years down the road, and we can get stuck. So grieving is so important, but also being able to come back to, like, okay, what can I do? What has God said? God is good, like, no matter what I'm facing. Remembering Jesus suffered more than any human being on the earth. Like, he doesn't stand outside of our suffering. He fully understands it, and I think we can find a lot of comfort in that we that Jesus fully understands our suffering, more so than we could even imagine. And that is one piece that is, even in searching for videos, I felt totally unseen. I'm like, oh, why can't I find anything? And I'm like, don't people need to talk about this? And actually, even in me doing these videos, my husband and I we have a friend who has a really great YouTube channel, and he was giving us some suggestions on video, like how to look for good current video topics for this channel. And in order to do that, you have to find other channels like yours. And I thought, oh, surely 10 years later, 11 years later, there'll be more channels like this. I couldn't find them when Finley was 2 or 3. So wait, 7 or 8 years later. And so we looked and looked and looked and looked. And we did find some special needs YouTube channels, but nothing like what I'm doing. So I don't know if that means that no one needs to hear this, but it's good for me to even just be here. And I know, I have some sweet comments and people saying that it has blessed them, and I've kind of thought like, it's good for me to think back on what God has done and how he's brought us through, and we're still in the thick of it. Like, it's not getting any easier. Actually, I had a teacher tell me, like, I wish I could tell you it gets easier as they get older, but it really doesn't. It gets harder. And I really appreciated her honesty. I think for some people it does, but I think she recognized like the type of trajectory that Finley was on. She'd been a special needs teacher for a while. So, and I had just thought, even if it just helps one person, like if there's one other me out there searching for like, why the heck am I so sad over this? Maybe they'll find these videos. So anyway, I'm going to end it there. If you would take a second to like and subscribe to my channel, that would be amazing. I would love to hear in the comments down below just what you have found helpful on your special needs journey, or even like if you have been a regular around here, what other types of videos you would appreciate from this channel. So anyway, have a wonderful day. You are seen and you are known, and Jesus is with you. He's with you. So I'll see you next time. Bye.